Welcome to EEG, the pulse of engagement.
All right, today we're going to take a journey, but not to some faraway place. No, we're going deep inside our own brains. We're going to explore the pretty wild world of neuromarketing, and we're going to uncover the hidden forces that are secretly pulling the strings on what we buy, what we want, and why we pick one brand over another. Think about this for a second. Have you ever been driving and a certain song comes on the radio and suddenly you're thirsty for a specific soda? Or you walk into a store and the smell of, leather or coffee just makes you want to open your wallet? Well, I'm here to tell you those moments, they are not accidents. Not at all. In fact, they're usually the handiwork of a really fascinating field that sits right at the intersection of marketing and brain science. It's a science that's trying to solve one of the biggest mysteries out there: why we really make the choices we do every single day. I mean, just think about your day so far. Your brain has been an absolute decision-making machine, from the toothpaste you grabbed to the website you just clicked on. But here's the crazy part. Most of those choices, they weren't really logical. They were made on autopilot. Gut feelings, snap judgments that are driven by subconscious reactions we're not even aware are happening.
And this creates a massive problem for old school marketing. For decades, right? If a company wanted to know what you liked, they just ask you. They put you in a focus group or send you a survey. But what happens when what we say we'll do is completely different from what we actually do?
I love this quote from the psychologist Jonathan Haidt because it just nails the problem perfectly. Our conscious mind, that's the monkey. It's the part of us that thinks it's in control, the part that's politely answering the survey questions. But the tiger? Oh, the tiger is our subconscious. That huge, powerful force of instinct and emotion that's actually driving our behavior. And that right there, that's the disconnect. You see it all the time. Our conscious monkey says, "Oh yes, I only want healthy snacks." But then our subconscious tiger gets to the checkout line, sees that candy bar, and bam, it's in the cart. Or we say, "Ads don't work on me," but then we're humming the jingle for a pickup truck all afternoon. It's this gap that neuromarketing is designed to bridge. So, if you can't just ask the monkey what's going on, how do you figure out what the tiger really wants? Well, that is where neuromarketing steps in. It's a whole new way of listening, not to what we say, but to what our brains are actually doing. It's about getting to the unspoken truth. So, here's the textbook definition. It's basically applying neuroscience tools directly to marketing. So instead of just taking our word for it, researchers measure the brain's raw, unfiltered reactions to an ad or a product, or even the layout of a store. It's kind of like getting a backstage pass to your own brain while it's making a decision. And honestly, that's the whole ball game right there. So much of what we like or dislike is a feeling, It's a gut reaction that happens before we even have the words to describe it. Neuromarketing's goal is to capture that feeling, to measure that immediate attraction or repulsion before our conscious mind jumps in and tries to explain it all away. So how in the world do they do this? Well, they've got some pretty incredible tech. They can hook you up to an EEG and literally watch the electrical chatter in your brain to see if you're engaged or bored from 1 second to the next. Or they can put you in an fMRI machine and see which parts of your brain light up. Is it the pleasure center, the fear center? They can see it. And then there's eye tracking, which shows exactly where your eyes are looking on a screen, not where you think you're looking. It's all about that raw subconscious data. Okay, so this stuff is fascinating, for sure. But so what? Why does any of this really matter in the real world? What's the big deal about knowing whether it's the monkey or the tiger making the final call? Well, the impact is actually huge. For companies, it means they can create things that we actually like, that connect with us on an emotional level. For instance, Frito-Lay used brain scans and discovered that the orange Cheeto dust on people's fingers triggered a feeling of playful rebellion, so they leaned into that. For us, it could mean better products and maybe, just maybe, fewer annoying ads. And personally, it helps us see the invisible strings that guide our own behavior. And if you need one single number to really understand the power we're talking about here, this is it. Scientists estimate that a whopping 95% of our purchasing decisions are subconscious. 95%! That means almost every single time you pick something up in a store, it's being driven by things you're not even aware of. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you're standing in an aisle and your hand reaches out for that specific brand of coffee or that particular shirt, just pause for a second and ask yourself, am I the one making this choice? Or is my brain, guided by a whole web of hidden persuaders, making this choice for me? Something to think about. So, what in the world is neuromarketing? Well, simply put, it's where neuroscience and advertising smash together. It's about using tools like brain scans to literally measure how our brains react to an ad. The choice of this specific topic is so smart, because by asking for an introduction to something so complex, the brief is secretly saying, your job is to make this incredibly simple.
Ever wonder why you choose one brand over another? That's neuromarketing, understanding the subconscious drivers of consumer choice.
First up, fMRI. This powerful tool maps brain at detecting changes in blood flow.
Understand the consumer mind is key. fMRI reveals deep brain responses to stimuli. Unlocking consumer desire. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, offers a window into the brain's deepest responses. Galvanic skin response, or GSR, measures subtle changes in skin sweat, revealing the intensity of our emotional state.
All right, so usually we kick off one of these explainers by digging into a super complex article or some really dense data, but not today. Today's whole journey starts with something, well, a lot more mysterious. We actually got a single sentence commission, like a direct order, that sent us down this totally fascinating rabbit hole. So first things first, if we're going to fulfill this mysterious commission, we've got to understand the main topic. So what exactly is neuromarketing? So at its most basic level, you can think of neuromarketing as the place where neuroscience and marketing completely smash into each other. It's a field that basically says, I don't care what you say you like. Instead, it tries to measure your brain's direct, totally unfiltered gut reaction to an ad, a product, or a brand. And this is a really fundamental shift in thinking. I mean, for decades, marketers just used focus groups and surveys, right? They relied on what people told them. Neuromarketing it completely bypasses that whole conversation. It goes straight to the source, your brain, to measure what you're actually feeling subconsciously, what's really grabbing your attention. Which brings us to the whole reason this field even exists. You see, there's this giant gap between what we say we want and what we actually do. I mean, it seems like the most obvious thing in the world, right? If you want to know if people like your new soda can, you just ask them. But it turns out we humans are, let's just say, not the most reliable reporters when it comes to our own true desires. How in the world do you get to those subconscious answers? Well, this is where the cool and maybe slightly creepy tech comes in. Let's take a quick peek inside the neuromarketer's toolbox. Okay, so there are basically three main tools they use. First up, you've got eye tracking. Pretty simple, right? It just shows exactly what part of an ad or a web page your eyes are drawn to and for how long. Then there's the EEG. That's that cap with all the wires, and it tracks your brain waves to see if you're excited, bored, or really engaged with something. And finally, you've got the fMRI. That's the real heavy hitter. It actually shows which parts of your brain are lighting up, which can reveal deep down responses like desire or a sense of connection. But it's super important to be clear about something here. The goal isn't mind reading. These tools can't pick up a specific thought like, oh, I should definitely buy that car tomorrow. It's not like that at all. Instead, what they're doing is measuring the emotional undercurrents, the excitement, the appeal, maybe even confusion. It's all about understanding the feeling, not literally reading your mind. Okay, but as you can probably guess, anytime you start talking about technology that can literally peer into the human brain to measure desire, well, you run smack into a huge ethical question. Where's the line here? Is this just a better way to persuade people, or is it a straight-up tool for manipulation? And this whole debate really splits into two main camps. On one side, you've got the people who argue this stuff is great. They say it helps companies make better products, create ads that are way less annoying, and design websites that are actually easy to use because they're built for how our brains are wired. But then, you've got the critics, and they raise a really serious concern. What if this is all just a hunt for a secret buy button in our brains, a way to totally bypass our rational thought and just trigger us to buy things, whether we really want to or not? In the end, it really just comes down to that old saying, with great power comes great responsibility. And let's be honest, giving marketers a window into our subconscious, that is an incredibly powerful tool. Just like any other powerful tool, from a simple hammer all the way up to AI, its real impact, whether it's good or bad, depends entirely on who's using it and why. So, let's wrap up this whole quest that started with that one mysterious sentence. What's the takeaway? Well, first, neuromarketing is a powerful new way to decode our gut reactions, the stuff we don't even say out loud. Second, it gives brands a peek into what we truly feel, not just what we say we feel. And third, all that power brings up some really important, really tough questions about influence and persuasion in our world today. And so, our journey leaves us and you with one last big question to think about. This technology, the ability to listen to our brain's unfiltered reactions, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's here, right now, and it's getting better every single day. So the real question for all of us is, now that marketers can listen to our brains, what should we be saying back?